similar to just like tax brackets based on
That's
your.
exactly what they're called, they're tax brackets, okay? So this is called graduated, because the higher it goes, the more tax you pay. It's also called progressive, which is another word for graduated. It isn't progressive in the sense that it's a political statement, although it is, but more that the more you pay, the more you make, the more you pay. Is that fair?
I think it's fair.
Who wants to tell me it's not fair?
Me.
Go ahead.
Yes. Well, because anyway, if you are earning money, it means that you are doing something special, that if you are making that amount of money, so you deserve
You
it.
deserve it, right? So the argument against this is that you deserve, the more you make, the more you should be rewarded. Okay? Now, who wants to who wants to explain their disagreement with Diego? Irma, go ahead.
Well, I think that if you're making everyone pay, if someone is not earning a lot, it's very hard to get out of this cycle of not earning a lot if all that money is going towards taxes. And that means lower quality of life, that means never really being able to pull yourself up to the next level, I guess.
Lynn and then Ariel and then
And I think like the ones who make more, I mean, they still have more in the end. They have more, they get like this, they still get more in the end, like even with the reduction. So they get the for what they have more responsible, whatever. What do you say, they deserve more money, so in the end they're gonna have more money. But I think it's also the responsibility of the wealthy and the rich to support the poor in society.
Right, so Lynn's argument is that this person is making a lot more money than this person after taxes.
But in a point, it sounds like it's not fair, because anyway, there is a small difference when you make a certain point of the money than when you make the double of the money, then you pay like.
Okay, I mean, this is, Ariel, do you want to say something? And then
Well, I was basically gonna say that we know that trickle down economics just doesn't work out. And so this is, on the basis of trickle down economics, you'd say, okay, well, if we don't tax rich people as much, that they'll spend the money and go out to poor people and they'll have it to spend, but that doesn't actually work. They just end up not actually, it doesn't redistribute the money. So,
hold on, let's
always
hear
a good idea to
from
try
Tanya
something
in
new.
her rebuttal, okay?
I do believe that even if we try to bridge the gaps between people from the low income and the high incomes, we won't be able to do that. So, from a socialist point of view, I think it's fair that people with higher income pay more. I can only argue the percentage. So, for me, it's acceptable for people to pay more because not all people have the same opportunities. But the percentage is a little bit high, so if we know the
Right,
percentage.
so let me make a couple comments, we'll go over this and then we'll get to your question. You don't have to defend yourself. You're
No, I
fine.
just want to know.
No, it's very important to hear. We understand that Diego has a little different political and social philosophy, which is important for us to hear.
I always taking the point of view from my background from
Sure.
Colombia. And for example, there in Colombia, we need to pay 38%. That's the taxation, and it's increasing year after year.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean that the money is going to poverty. It means that the money is going to the pocket of the politicians. That they are
So that's a big
Well,
issue.
I'm talking
That's another
about
point.
corrupted,
No, in the perfect world, if that money, the 30% would go straight to the poverty or the needs one, then of course. But another thing that I could say from that is that actually the taxation, when it's too high, stops the startups or the evolution or the development of companies, because they would think we are making all this money, but we need to pay taxes. So in a way,
So,
it stops the development.
Let's go to Sweden. And Ariel, do you know what the highest tax rate is in Sweden?
No, but it's pretty high,
very high.
really high
Sweden is
taxes.
among the
It could
highest.
be between 80 and 90% of
Yeah,
what you make,
insane.
okay?
On your profit?
No, of your income.
Wow.
So why bother to work? Why should you put that extra effort in if you're gonna make so little money? Okay, 80%, I don't know, I think it's
How is
really.
it tolerated by the people, really? I wonder.
I think over there they tolerate it because they feel that they're getting it back. They're getting it back
But
in
this is
terms of
too high.
free education,
But they're
social
not relying on
services.
anything else.
It's,
Okay, so first of all,
Everything's taken care of.
there's no corruption.
Yes.
The middle way in Sweden,
And as you said, they don't pay for anything else. so-
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, right, just like your
Yes.
money, they get it,
Right,
like,
now.
okay, how much do you?
so I'm gonna make one more point, we're gonna look at this and then we're gonna go to the The argument for graduated or progressive tax is that everyone has a minimum need to live on. Minimum needs. Everybody has to go to the grocery store. And everyone has to live someplace and pay the cost of living. So those minimum costs should not be highly taxed. And that once you exceed those minimum, whatever that minimum is, and each society decides on that minimum, once you exceed that minimum, then it's fair to ask those people to pay more. That's the argument for progressive taxation, okay? And most countries do have progressive taxation. And to get back to what Ronnie was saying, the real argument, the fight is over where it should be. Okay, and when you look at the conservatives, the conservatives and the liberals, they're always fighting. They say, let's lower taxes, let's change the rate, okay? No, let's raise taxes, let's increase the rate. That's the argument, okay? And there's no resolution to it. Now, let's just look at this for a minute. So now we understand these countries have more progressive taxation, those over here. Can you guys read this? Okay, let's make it bigger, and we'll just have to scroll down a little
more progressive means higher percentages or different,
bit. More graduated, so higher percentages as you go up,
right.
okay? So in Israel is pretty, quote, progressive, okay?
Yeah.
But let's say it goes like this, 0, 10, 30, 50.
Yeah.
Okay, they're going to be over here.
Mm-hmm.
So Sweden is the first. Everybody see it says Sweden? See where it is?
Yep.
Very high taxation rate, very progressive, just what we talked about. Now, are the Swedes happy?
Yes.
And the answer is yes. They like it. They got exactly what they want. Okay? Is that a surprise? Not to me. Okay?
So the point is corruption. If there is no corruption, then people will be happy.
Yes, that's correct. Okay?
They would pay as much as.
Right, so one of the factors in happiness is corruption. So the absence of corruption is going to make a society happier. Okay? So the Swedes, the Dutch, the New Zealanders all have very progressive taxes and they're happy.
Israel's not bad. It's right up near New Zealand.
Yeah, okay, so Israel has quite progressive taxes, which we talked about, and is happy, right? So they're doing pretty well. Now, let's go down to, where's China? China's here. So relatively progressive taxes, because they don't really like rich people. I mean, they do, but they don't, okay? But they're not very happy, okay? South
Miserable,
Africa
actually.
is here, huh?
They're actually miserable, they're paying taxes and
Not getting anything. Okay, now let's look all the way over here at the least happy people. Although you missed, we talked about it a little earlier. Wait, what are these countries?
Communist or former communist.
Former communists. This is the former Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Very unhappy. Okay? And so here's a happiness scale. They're not happy and they don't have progressive taxes.
What does that mean, Saudi Arabia being so low in taxes and so high because of the high income?
So low in, I'm sorry, say it again.
We're talking about
Over
those
here?
who don't, yes, those are
Okay.
former communists.
Yeah,
What about the Saudi Arabia being that aligned with them, of being at the happiness scale being that
It means that
high?
they don't pay so much taxes, but they're still
I
quite
know,
happy.
yes, they are.
they're pretty happy. What?
Is this because of the income?
Sure, because they're rich.
Yeah.
They're rich. Okay, so they may not pay taxes. They don't. I don't think they do in Saudi. I mean, the government gives them money, they don't pay taxes. Lynn?
I kind of live it like too simplified, to be honest, because I think this chart, because I think a lot of the countries which say they're not happy, I think there's other reasons why, like maybe there's a conflict, there's social problems they have,
Okay.
which you can say is maybe a reason, or you can say it's because of the system, or because of it's all connected with the tax system, like maybe you can
So-
argue like this, but
So
I think
Lynn
it's just
wants to
too
see,
easy to.
right, so Lynn wants to see the R squared. You want to see the trend line, the linear regression, okay?
I don't know, I was not here yesterday, so I didn't learn about the linear.
Yeah, okay, so Lisa, tell her what I'm saying.
So the R squared is how close all the data is to the linear regression.
Okay.
In other words, you're correct. Is this bona fide data? Or is just this some academic who needs to get tenure, and he found these numbers, he or she, and put them up? I don't know. Okay? Your point may be very valid. This may be interesting, but the question is how accurate is it? I don't know. Okay? I don't remember where I found it. Yeah, I don't have here. Wait a minute. Okay? I don't know. Birth and taxes is what it's called. All right? So, very, very pertinent. How is there really a correlation? Okay? All right. Let's go on to Diego's presentation. Any quick questions before we go on?
From yesterday.
Huh?
A question from yesterday, maybe at the end of the class.
Okay, go ahead. Well,
I
go
wanted
ahead.
to ask something about the broken bricks.
The broken bricks.
I never got the concept behind it. What was it?
Okay.
And the countries, I never had what the countries did and the countries.
Okay. So, B is for Brazil.
Russia?
R is Russia. I is India. C is China. And there is no S. Okay, it's BRICS.
But I think it's actually an official, because I went to the BRICS summit a few years ago, and South Africa was actually the host country in 2013.
Excuse me, South Africa.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Broken bricks. Okay. So those are the BRICS.
Can you repeat it, like BRICS?
No, Brazil.
Brazil,
Russia.
Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
Yes.
Okay? These are called the emerging market countries.
Well,
Emerging market countries. And their incomes thrived for 20 years. Okay? And with that rise in income is a rise in the middle class. There is an article that's optional for you to read about how the development of the middle class leads to democracy. I'm not going to make you read it, but for those who are interested, you should read it. It's in there, okay? About democracy. Once you have a middle class, you have people who vote, and they care about their taxes. So there's a lot of pressure for them to have their voice heard. And democracy is a logical consequence of wealth in a country. Saudi Arabia, we're going to hear about, is not a democracy, and it has a lot of wealth, so it's an exception. But they don't pay taxes in Saudi. Okay, that's how they get away with it. Right? Once you start paying taxes, you want a determination of what happens to your money. Okay, so why the BRICS broken? Because of the Great Recession, that occurred around the world, these countries have struggled. Their growth has slowed down. Okay? Brazil has had a big recession. What's happened in Russia? We're how far from Damascus? 100 miles from Damascus?
It's developed.
Okay? What's going on in Damascus? Civil war. Who's involved? Russia. Why? Why? Why really why?
Political, military interest.
Oil, what about oil? What's happened to oil in Russia?
They are running out of oil.
No, there's embargo also from other
The
countries.
price has gone down. The price has collapsed. Russia doesn't have any money. The Russians are angry. So what do when your people are angry? You start a war. Everybody gets distracted. Okay? Why did the oil prices go down? Well, one, there was a recession, and two, Saudi was competed with by Canada and the United States with a new way of making oil, the shale oil business. So the Saudi Arabians lowered the price of oil.
And there was once in a time when Saudi Arabia, they actually increased the prices.
Sure.
It was like in 2006.
Yeah, a while ago. Okay, right? So these economies collapsed. They didn't collapse, but they decreased. China didn't collapse, but its relative rate of growth went down a lot.
But Russia is also with the annexion of Ukraine and also their involvement in Ukraine, there's just also political steps they made in the last years, which led to economic embargoes from the Western countries, because they did very strange things.
Yeah, but Putin is playing games. Okay, is what I would say very simply. He's trying to distract his people from the oil problems that they have with oil prices. And even though they have these sanctions, he's willing to take that because he's so much of a nationalist. He's trying to get those sanctions removed by being in Syria. I mean, it's all one big game. Ronnie and then.
Can we also say that the system, like in China and Russia, it's so stiff and strictly, although there's the globalization and it reached Russia and China, but they are so stiff, these systems, that in a way it really contributed to the whole of the whole progression.
Sure, yes, that lack of flexibility, I think, has contributed. Nobody is going to talk about China this time, which is too bad. It's very interesting to learn about the Chinese healthcare system because it's really complicated. Okay, there's still a lot of rural poverty in China, and people get no health care in some places, and then there are people who get extremely sophisticated health care in other places. Okay.
Thank you.
Broken bricks.
Thank you.
The final thing is today, the Brazilian economy is better, the Indian economy is better, the Chinese economy is stable, the South African economy, I don't know, probably better than it was 5 years ago.
But it actually 2 weeks ago it went through a technical recession.
Okay, so they're still struggling. The stocks in these countries are getting better.
But actually, speaking of globalization, the BRICS bloc is seen as a threat of the old boys club. Because if you look at the numbers, China and India alone, population-wise, that's a significant percentage of the world. And so...
This is a big deal. These are very populous countries. That's correct. Okay? Each of them, Russia is the least important, actually.
So the US sees you as a threat when you engage with the BRICS. Like, for example, China is the new colonizer in Africa.
Right.
So
right.
And I mean, there are all sorts of developments and investment in Africa all throughout by the Chinese.
Sure.
And the US sees that as a threat because, it's all about saying, well, we had PEPFAR, gave away billions to you, and in return you're thanking us by teaming up with the Chinese.
Okay, now, before we get to Diego, we're coming real soon. Why is all this important to talk about in a course in healthcare delivery?
Everything
Because
related to
politics
health.
dictate
It's all
how
related.
funds are moved to take care of health.
So, culture dictates politics, dictates policy, dictates I don't know if I'm spelling this right or not, implementation, okay? Right? Culture, the culture of a country determines its politics. Its politics determines its policy. Its policy determines the outcome for everything. And because healthcare is such a big deal, it affects healthcare. What?
If I can add something to that, I think also the international politics, like I think we should not underestimate how much it can impact the system in your own country. I think like how you can see now with the States, I think reasons why Trump can get voted is because people are scared because things going on in the world, globalization, and this can actually have an impact on the health system,
Of course.
as we can see now with Trump. So
Right.
I think we should never underestimate what's going on in the world, what the impact has on
Yes.
our own country.
Yes, and the argument with globalization yesterday was it's not going to stop and it has profound impacts on all of us. Okay? As I, with tremendous pride, say about our international program, in your class, we have 16 students from 9 different countries. That is a demonstration of globalization. That's the whole point. You're coming to one place, you're getting a common education, you're going back, and you're going to bring that globalized knowledge back to your home. That's the whole idea of globalization. We are living it by doing this program. Not accidental that I'm involved with it, right? This is my own beliefs.
Just a small
Yeah.
question before Diego.
One day, Diego, one day.
Diego, stand up and come over here.
Yeah, show some
Um,
show some hope.
I wonder if culture was on the top of the pyramid because I don't know if it's. I've always thought it was economics. It was money, not culture. Culture is influential. It does influence, but doesn't it all start with money? You know, because the culture eventually will.
There are certainly-
implementation.
Money is certainly important. Okay. I'm going to say no. Okay. So. Okay. Let's compare Saudi Arabia and Norway.
No, it does have an effect. I'm only saying if it's the ultimate.
I don't know.
the
Yeah, I'm going to
first-
say culture is the ultimate.
Okay.
But I'm sure that there are some people who've got Nobel Prizes who are economists who say your point. It's all about the money. Maybe. Okay. So the argument here, let me just develop it. Why? What's special about Norway? Norway's right next to Sweden. It sits on a peninsula. What's the difference between Norway and Sweden? Culturally, very little difference. Economically, big difference. What's the big difference?
Innovation, technology.
No. Norway is on the North Sea, and Sweden is on the Baltic Sea.
So
What's on the North Sea?
Norway's more stressed from the Russian.
Nope. Oil.
Oil, yeah.
Big oil in the North Sea. Big oil. And so what the Norwegians do is they take the oil, they sell it, and they put it into a national endowment. What do the Saudis do? They take the oil, they sell it, and they give it to themselves. Okay? Right? Not all of themselves, but the royal family. All right? So that's an example, I'll say, where the culture drives the money doesn't drive the culture. Diego. Welcome.
Finally, I hope my presentation is going to be as good as it was expected. So I'm going to talk about Japan health system. First of all, I'm going to talk a little bit about Japan. The photograph before is a temple in Japan. Actually, I found Japan a very interesting country, very rich in history. As I had studied with some Japanese people when I was learning English, they are amazing, so respectful, also very good friends. So I have very good things to say about Japan. So Japan is located in the Eastern Asia, They are surrounded by the Pacific Ocean and also the Sea of Japan, and it's a small island in terms of territory. As I said, the location is in Eastern Asia. The total area is 377 square kilometers. It's pretty small. They don't have much natural resources, so they have their resources are actually fish and mineral ones, but they run out of them. What they do is that they import coal and also liquefied natural gas, as well as they are the second largest importer of oil. So this is important to say because of their economy. In order to survive, they actually need oil and need all of these resources, so they need to invest in the resources that they need for. This is Japan in comparison with the United States. Actually, what I wanted to say in this slide is that it's quite smaller than California, so we could actually see the size of Japan. So in terms of health and their population, they have a total population of 126,000 million people. No, sorry. Yeah. 126,000 million people surrounded. And their gross national income per capita is $37 billion. And the life expectancy is about 80 years per man and 87 years per woman. This was very interesting that they don't have much data, and actually they report zero data for the 2015 for probability of dying under 5 years old. So they have a very good. I don't know. I actually don't know how they are doing that, because they report zero, and this is the World Health Organization, so it means it's really good system over there. Okay, the total expenditure on health as a percentage of the growth GDP was 10.2% by 2014. The most common causes of death, this is for male and female. They are both cerebrovascular diseases and ischemic heart attack. Those are the biggest one, and actually they are the top ones at the world. It's interesting for me that cerebrovascular diseases is first than ischemic heart attack, which is actually the first cause of death around the world. Japan enjoys one of the highest life expectancy among OECD countries at the 83 years. That's the average. 3 above the OECD average of 80. So this is very important to see. This is a photograph from the space. You can see this is like a dragon. Very cool picture. And it relates to their culture too, because they like dragons especially. Also very important to say is that they have a lot of natural hazards that affect them directly to their lives, to their economy, and to everything. But it's remarkable also the way that they actually get out of everything. And I don't notice that even they have these kind of hazards around their economy is not too affected, and also their life is they get out so easy and so quick. They have volcanoes and 1,500 seismic occurrence, and have the experience of some people that have been over there, and they say that it's always like a small earthquakes every 2 days, 3 days, and their structure and their buildings are just moving as the earthquake moves. So they don't feel that too much, but still they feel that there is an earthquake, and they are anyway prepared for running away. This is Fukushima, the nuclear plant, on 2011 when they have the disaster, when this plant just blew up. The interesting thing is that nowadays, if I didn't put the picture, but they already rebuilt, or they clean all this area, and it's amazing because if it could happen in Colombia, then it would be like this anyway after 10 or 20 years. And also another important thing that I was telling Ariel yesterday is that the after the radiation that was spread of this explosion in